Hi, hi everyone. We are live. This is Arsenal Fan Circle with Hopes, Silly O'Clock Hopes, and Igal. Thanks for joining us.
What's
First
going on,
time on the
guys?
channel. You're part of the family now. Thanks.
What's going on, guys?
Really quickly, we always ask newcomers. Actually, before we do this, yeah, uh, we ask newcomers, Igal, your Arsenal story, real quick.
Okay, so as a little kid, I always used to sit down and watch the World Cup with my dad, and my dad was very close with watching Brazil and everything. And for me, the '98 World Cup and the Euros, I really got fondness with France,
Yes.
and just being connected to the French national team early at a young age, it opened my doors to players like Thierry Henry and Vieira, and it connected me directly to Arsenal right away.
Golden era.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. As a young kid, I wasn't like an advocate fan. I wasn't following it as much as I do now in my older age. But I just had an affinity with it and a connection from far because all my family in London, Africa, they would follow Arsenal. So, but when I got older, it kind of just became a thing where anyone asked me, I'd be like Arsenal, to the point where I didn't even watch it much until like mid 2000s. But before that, I would always just say Arsenal, Arsenal, Arsenal. So that's my connection to it. It went from a fondness for the French national team
Yeah.
watching the World Cups to connecting to these players, to those players connecting me to Arsenal. And then all I knew was Arsene Wenger's Arsenal my
Yeah.
whole life.
We've seen that with a few people, few guests on this show now, on this channel. A
Yeah,
few people have done that.
yeah,
Irfan kind of did the same thing, Irfan, the African
yeah.
Gooner. Um,
Yes. So I've only had three managers in my life: Arsene, Arteta, and Emery.
Wow.
you're starting to accelerate now, Eagle.
Yeah, it's crazy.
All right, before we get started, I got a special request from our mate Tony,
Tina.
Tina
Hi,
Turner,
Tony. Timmy Turner.
Tina Turner.
Okay. So you have the sound drops, everything, eh?
All right,
Hey,
with that being done, Tony Turner requested that for you. Hopes.
No
Um,
problem. Feeling the love tonight, Tony.
this is the
Welcome.
joys.
Welcome. Thanks for joining us.
That's the joys of live streaming, Eagle.
what do you guys
Oh,
think about the kids first of all? Because I don't know what you're, because we just going straight into the FA Cup game. What do you guys think about the kids? Because Liverpool's kids get talked about, Chelsea's kids get talked about, even
yeah,
Greenwood gets talked about, but I
yeah,
don't hear enough people talking about Arsenal and our kids because
yeah.
they've been putting in work all season and it just kind of gets thrown away.
Not enough love, Hopes. My take on it, Eagle, is they took a little time to settle into the season. Obviously, Emery wasn't using the squad properly. We all see that. We all know that.
Yeah.
So these players have just started to come to the fore, and I'm excited about Saka. I mean, I'm pushing for him to be left back. Hopes.
Yeah, I think, um, Miguel, it's the case of the left-hand side more is becoming more prominent and prevalent, you could say, the likes of Saka and Martinelli. Credit
Martinelli.
to Unai, because Unai did, once Saka scored the goal underneath him, he was, quite a regular first team player. Martinelli wasn't so much in the Premier League that much,
No.
despite his amazing European performances. So those two players, when you say kids, they come to the forefront. I believe Ainsley has improved under Arteta massively because Arteta doesn't expect him to run to the opposition corner flag and back within a nanosecond. Guendouzi, I see some improvement. He's not holding on to the balls for so long, and he's playing more short passes. Reece Nelson, yeah, not bad. Him and Ainsley are building up a partnership there. So I do see, a lot of positivity. But the most prominent and the most robust of the kids, I would say, no shadow of a doubt, Saka and Martinelli.
Yeah,
I'm
Saka.
I'm
Go, Eagle.
I was quite disappointed in Joe Willock because he started the preseason so good, and then the first two games he looked like a revelation. Like I thought this guy had to be guaranteed starter over Guendouzi, but then slowly he just lost confidence. And I feel like Joe Willock has the highest ceiling out of all of them, after Martinelli, obviously, but more than Saka, more than Maitland-Niles, more than any of them, because he has goals and we lack goals in the midfield. He's very physical. And you've seen even against Bournemouth the other day, he was spinning people in the box. Sometimes he's our best hold-up play, and he's a midfielder. It's kind of crazy. I feel like he has so much more to improve out of all those guys.
Yeah, I mean, I would. Sorry to bite him, Ray. I would. I'm not sure if it's a confidence thing or if it's regular game time, because Joe Willock started our first couple of games in the season. You know, he was man of the match in the first couple of games, but then Unai just took him out, swapped him over for Xhaka, and then he's kind of, he hasn't really played consistently. And then when Freddie came in, Freddie played him for a couple of games. Mikel Arteta has just started to play him. So I think it's, as soon as he finds his rhythm, it's like stop, start, stop, start. He has potential, but okay.
Sorry, Gal.
Wow, that threw me. Hey, Tony. Yeah, sorry, where was that?
WWE entrance music.
You lost the train of thought there, Tony.
I just, because I wasn't looking at the screen, so I just thought, what's that music? Sorry, where was I? So, yeah, it's so much lack of consistency, Igal. And
don't get the guy.
This is all pre-planned, Igal.
Oh, really? Yeah. Right, yeah, get it. We get it, Tony. Right, can we move on to the show now? It's the serious podcast here, talking about the Arsenal. Right. Sorry.
Well, now you want to get to it.
sorry, Gal. Like these people, I don't know where they come from, but yeah. So no, I think it's stopping and starting. He also, I remember a couple of times when he has started and he hasn't really looked the part, or he's been overrun due to his lack of physicality in the role that he plays. And also there was a couple of chances when he came on as a sub and he missed, in key moments. So yeah, I don't think it's a confidence thing. I think it's a consistent a lack of games.
And it's young kids are going to do that, Egal. But first, Tony, welcome to the channel.
Welcome, Tony.
We're not usually this chaotic, Egal. Sorry.
Can't get the staff, Egal. Can't get the staff, mate.
Listen, Mkhitaryan got moved out. We had some experienced wingers, and you're going to get that with younger players. So that inconsistency with Willock, we all saw the promise in the preseason with Joe Willock, and hopefully he can. Well, he's gone. That was just a quick cameo. Hopefully that Willock can pick up the thread again, Egal, and continue through the season. Hopefully the whole of the young players can go on. But on Monday, we had Saka, Guendouzi, Willock, Martinelli, and Nketiah in the team.
Yeah, and even Holding walked in, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Bellerin
so you're going to have inconsistencies with younger players, and they're going to spike through the season. You have Saka. Maybe he's not going to have that level of consistency as we go through the end of the season.
Was Bellerin playing also? Yeah, Bellerin. You missed Bellerin.
Yeah.
Guendouzi, Bellerin, Willock, Martinelli, Eddie Nketiah, Saka. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 out of the 11 are academy players.
Yeah.
No, actually, if you include Martinez also, that's 8 out of the 11 were academy players. I don't get. People don't respect our academy.
Right. So back to your point, we're not getting the love, but do we ever get love in the media? The Spurs get it big time.
That was a myth. Realistically, Pochettino didn't actually develop anybody he brought in. The only person he brought in was Winks. Everybody else was already pre-developed.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So
playing as a team.
Tony, jump in.
Tony, my man.
I'm sorry I missed out where you were at.
Young players, Monday night, FA Cup, Bournemouth, scene set.
And Stark, Guendouzi, and Willock,
Yep.
Nikita.
Yeah. How about Saka? They're playing well. They're playing to a good level.
Who was your man of the match?
Saka.
Saka, yeah.
Saka?
When you score one and you assist on another, you have to be man of the match, right?
100%.
Yeah.
Although there's been games where Lacazette scored 2 goals and I still felt like it was somebody else was man of the match. That can happen, right?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Like Torreira, he's had man of the match performances, but he hasn't scored much goals.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I just think it's up to the pundit, who's reviewing the game as it's going live, and whether they've got the courage to call out a player, because other than the goal scorer.
That's true. Yeah. What do you guys think? Tony's got fans.
Right, Ray. So, are you going to lead us?
I thought I was just going to take the night off. I'll leave you to it. No, talk about Igal. Talk about Saka's goal.
Okay, Saka's goal. You have to understand that near post goals like that, the goalkeeper should be stopping it. So there is some blame for that goalkeeper on Bournemouth's side. But at the same time, for him to have the composure to grab the ball, bring it down, take the pass, aim, shoot, fire at the speed that he did, and keep it precise, accurate. It's very good, and it shows that he can shoot on target and he has a good shot on him. Because I don't feel like that's not the first time he's had a good goal this season. He had a couple in the Europa League this season where we're like,
he's on 3 right now for the season, and
he has I think he has the most assists on our team, more than anybody else. He has 6 assists, I think 3 goals, and 3 or 4 goals. That's 10 goal contributions from an academy player who's under the age of 19. That's impressive.
Yeah, and Pepe is just right behind them on 5 assists, 5 goals.
But Pepe gets graded on a different level because of his price tag. People are calling him a flop.
Tony, is that fair to grade players based on their price, Tony?
No.
No.
Especially with his contract extended out over 5 years, it's 12 million a year.
But to give the other opinion, it's fair in the sense that he gets graded on a different pedestal because he's on a different level of his career, where Saka is just coming up, and Pepe's had 4 years of top level football. Maybe it's only his first year in the Premier League, but last year he scored 27 goals. But
Igal, he really only had that one season where he broke out last season at Lille.
That's not fair. He's had 14 goals the season before that.
Okay.
So not in the Premier League.
Of course, not in the Premier League. But
so it's not a fair comparison, is it? Because the Premier League is the best in the world.
To be honest, we have a large fan base, and their voice is heard a lot louder than other fan bases. So you're going to hear people digging out Pepe, digging out other players. Even people were digging out Saka, saying he's not good enough just 2 months ago. Like, you know what I mean? So at the end of the day, these things come up and down. It's like a roller coaster. He scores 2 goals the next 2 games. People are going to say Pepe's back, or Pepe's arrived. Like the West Ham game, people were saying he's arrived, and then today they're like, oh, he's still a flop. Like,
I think that's unfair to keep saying that the player has arrived. Let him settle into the season.
You know what it is? It's just
high expectations.
No, it's what I was going to say is that it's a lot of our fans, a lot of them, the recent fans, they want to have the best players. They don't want to look like mugs, like we spent 72 million on a player and he's not good enough. There's no time to settle. And so every time he scores a goal, he's arrived. And then when he doesn't do according to what they want to do, because if you would have seen his first game that he played, you could see that there's so much missing from Pepe's game because he plays a different style that he played for his previous club. For starters, there was no tracking back for his previous club. Stay up there, do your magic, take on the entire team, and score. But this is a Premier League, baby. You ain't getting away with that. That's why I say, going back to my previous point, so many players have come in from the Premier League, and they might have had, like players like Higuain, and so many others, but they haven't done it in the Premier League because it's a whole different kettle of fish. But I think the realistic fans amongst us know that he needs time. He has the ability. There's a player in there, but the knee jerk, the kind of flip flops, the real eager, who just want him to fit in, succeed, and run with it, so they can just brag. Yeah, that's the difference there, in my opinion.
Pepe reminds me of an early form of Mane, in the sense that Mane was very raw, and he didn't have the composure and the ability to be calm on his weak foot at times, or to get away from just using his pace and try to use his skill. Where Pepe is in the early forms of that, where he's trying to use his pace, he's trying to use his skills, and he's using his dominant foot so much to the point where the other game he had an open goal, but he refused to shoot with his right foot. He would have scored if he just shot with his right foot, but he wanted to bring it back to his left. I forget who we were facing, but we ended up drawing that game, and it was easily would have been a goal. Was it against Chelsea? I think it was. Late against Chelsea, he had an opportunity. Opportunity to shoot with his right foot, but he's so dominant left-footed.
It was Crystal Palace. Crystal Palace in the first half, right? He cut inside, trying to feed Lacazette in 16 minutes.
Honestly, 100%. He's just too dominant-footed on his left. He needs to calm down and get composure and try shooting with his right a little bit.
Okay, so Tony, I'm going to come to you in a moment. I want to ask you about all the ingredients of this Arsenal cake coming together for maybe next season. I think we can. So, gather your thoughts. Pepe, I think let's talk about Pepe. It's been difficult coming from a different league, different country, Igal, and young player. He had to change the whole way of playing. He's playing counter-attacking football for Lille. we never moved the ball fast enough through midfield the way we play right now with Emery before. And we're just starting to do that now, maybe with Arteta. So there's a lot of change and adaptation that Pepe's needed to bring to the table.
Pepe, for us to change our whole style for him to fit in won't make sense. He needs to find a way to play his style with our counterattacks in addition to our possession style.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right. I don't want to go on too much on that.
Tony.
Yeah.
How are you? I see a lot of ingredients swirling around. I see, maybe he's not going to be the savior. William Saliba next season. I see these kids starting to play well under Mikel Arteta. Maybe our window's not so great. Maybe Pablo Mari's not so great. We can debate whether he's better than the 3 or 4 defenders we have in there right now. But do you see the ingredients coming together and maybe possibly having to sell a few players in the summer to boost some funds to get a few more players and then add that to the cake? And starting next season, we're going to be more competitive.
Before you answer, Tony, switch the porn off behind you. We can see it.
Not Pornhub. HGTV.
Come on, Hopes, don't make me repeat my question.
I don't want the guy to be showing pornography on his TV.
I think the ingredients are there, but it's going to take a while to bake the cake.
So you think what?
So I think it's going to take a while to bake the cake.
Yeah.
What makes you think that, though?
Well, Saliba's only played 4 matches in the league this year. So
4 imperious matches.
Really? He's played
In the league.
more than that.
In the league, he's only played 4.
Really? That's hard to believe. Wow.
Has he got potential, Tony?
He has potential, but he's still just 20 years old or 19.
Yeah, and you know what? We don't have to hang our hats completely on Saliba, Igal, do we?
The thing about him is we're developing him as our right-sided center back for the future. Obviously, you don't want to put too much pressure on him in his first season coming in. So I agree with you. We're not going to say, hey, you're the guy, play every single game. That's not realistic.
Hey, Igal, look around the whole team. Do you see the parts coming together? Maybe.
What I see is the early stages of a plan. Like I see direction, which is more than I've seen in the past, because I see a sense of we are trying to move everything in the same direction. And if people are going to get left behind, they're going to get left behind. Like I see Mustafi starting to be left behind. I see Rob Holding trying to catch up to the train that's leaving the station. I see Bellerin is telling people, I'm still here. You know what I mean? Like certain people have to stamp their place for the future, and certain people are going to be left behind. And right now we're moving into, I have a sense that we're moving in the right direction because we have established players in the midfield. We have a better midfield now organizationally based on the way the structure looks. We have a better defense because of the way we're structurally set up with the midfield. And if we can buy the correct players to suit the system that Emery wants to, not Emery, Arteta wants to play, we'll be better in the future. Because Arteta's a possession style manager, but he's made us better defensively than Emery ever did, and that is positive. I can't harp on anymore. Emery's been very good.
I agree with you, and let's take that analogy, Hopes. The train is going from the station. A lot of players are going to be on that train, but a few will get left behind.
I thought that was pretty harsh of Holding. How can he stamp his place in the team if he's been injured?
He's going to have the opportunity.
And when he's come back, he hasn't really had any games. He hasn't had any playing time. The only reason he came on Monday night was because Mustafi's injured.
I'm not trying to be harsh or anything, but I'm saying basically he has to find a way within the next 18 months, find a way to replace the playing time that Socrates and David Luiz are playing, because David Luiz and Socrates are playing too much minutes for guys that are not going to be here within the future. And Holding has to find a way to replace those guys in the team sheet and stamp his place. And he will only do that in time. So I'm giving him time, but I'm saying these guys are end of their contracts coming up soon, and he has to find a way to replace them, or else Arsenal is going to go buy another center back to come and replace those minutes. Because Callum Chambers, he was hard done by his injury. Holding, he's hard done by his injury. These guys, we have high hopes for them, but at the end of the day, if they weren't English and we don't have an affinity with them already on the team, we wouldn't want to go buy them.
No, I disagree, because we bought in Holding for £500,000, and then every time he's had a run of games, he's played really well. Now,
2.5 million.
Sorry, 2.5. Okay, every time he's come in and he's played a consistent run of games, he's shown the ability he has. Now, there are managers who come in and they have a style of play, and they have their favourites. Look at Unai Emery and Guendouzi. There were many a times when Guendouzi shouldn't have played, but he played. There's got to be something that is missing somewhere for Arteta not to pick him, because a lot of our fan base would rather Rob Holding over Socrates or Mustafi any day, but they're still getting the nod. Why?
But Hopes, could it be that he hasn't really seen him play yet, like Ceballos? Ceballos only had 20 minutes under Arteta.
That is a factor.
But the thing is, if you don't give them game time, you're not going to.
He's going to do that. There's plenty of minutes in the season. Holding will get time.
What I heard last game was, I think something across the lines of he didn't want to put Bellerin and Holding in coming off a long injury, because if both of them start and both of them somehow get a knock and he needs to substitute them, that's 2 subs down the drain.
Yeah.
So if you're going to play 2 guys who just came back from a long-term injury, you don't want to play them both in the same game from the beginning, if you get what I'm saying.
Yeah. Tony, the Predator's in here somewhere.
Hopes.
Yeah.
The shadows behind us.
So what are your favorites? Favorite moments of the season so far? Because for me, I haven't spoken to you guys before, and I just wanted to get a quick grasp of what you think about the season so far.
We haven't hit the heights too much. Go back to that Aston Villa game where we pulled that out of the bag with Aubameyang's free kick, right? Going to go back. Pepe, okay, it was a Europa League game, but his announcing himself with 2 free kicks. And but I'm telling you, Egal, I think Martinelli is going to be our player of the year.
Yeah, he already has 10 goals, right?
Yeah, that kid, he stepped in through Aubameyang being out for 3 games.
100%.
Tony, you got any highlights of this season?
Just Saka and Martinelli for the most part, just the youth players.
Any specific moments you can call back to that got you out of your seat?
The first Europa or the second Europa game, I think.
Yeah.
Hoops.
I'd say the 3-1 win at West Ham. Bellerin coming in the team against Chelsea and scoring.
Yeah.
Unai Emery leaving, and Mikel Arteta arriving, and seeing the since 2008, I've been waiting to see a style of philosophy, us play a possession-based game. I was skeptical at first whether Mikel could, really change some of these players, and just the way he, it seems like Torreira's, a new player for us, Xhaka, Luiz, playing Martinelli in the team, Ainsley Maitland-Niles, really making the right back his own. So there's plenty,
For
there's
me,
a lot of hope.
I feel like the 2 biggest moments of celebration the whole season, just like sitting down and thinking about it and enjoyment, was Emery leaving because the club ended his contract or whatever they did. And then the other one, the most memorable entertaining moment would be you can't really think about too many entertaining moments, but I would feel like that Liverpool game, even though we didn't win, that was the most that was the most fun game to watch, because it didn't mean too much to you. You didn't get too high, you didn't get too low, but just to see 10 goals and penalties, that was like one of the more memorable moments of the season. I feel like the way I'm looking at it is, if I go next year and I look back, I'm not going to remember the West Ham game. I might remember the Aston Villa game, but the game that I'll remember is 5-5 Liverpool at Anfield.
Oh, I was wondering if you were talking about the league game or the cup game.
5-5 at Anfield. How is that? That's going to be memorable, I feel like. Even though we lost.
That encapsulates everything Arsenal is this season.
Everything we were under Emery, where we're up. What was it, 4-2? Yeah. And we end up losing some. We've scored 5 goals in Anfield, and somehow we still lose 5
against their under-17s.
Again, it's so Arsenal.
Good point, Tony. And in one sense, that's a game I don't want to remember, because we were 4-2 up, and then we lost on penalties. Only Arsenal would do that, like Ray's saying.
Arsenal.
That is a memorable game. Hey Glenn, hey Big Ted in the comments.
Yeah, I was just. Hope, so you're reading my mind or something?
Get out of my head.
Shout out. Get out of my head, Hopes. Egal, I love that you're asking questions. This is great.
I'm trying to engage,
Makes my life easy. Makes my life easy.
Don't worry, Egal. Ray's got a whole pad full of them.
Guys,
I've got notes.
Are you done with the FA Cup game?
I'm done with the FA Cup game. Just give me an outline of what would you like us to see in the FA. What would you like to see us do?
I wanted to go back to transfers before we do move on. the transfer deadline last year, you thought we had a good transfer window. Am I right? Everyone here probably thought we had a good transfer window.
Listen, if we could have
No.
spent a few shillings on a defender, I wouldn't have been against that. But yeah, if we go get Pepe, we go get Tierney. I see Hope shaking his head a little bit.
I'm just saying I don't think we had a good transfer window.
I agree. I feel like our transfer window, if you consider the ins and outs, it made us weaker.
Look at all of the teams that wanted Pepe. We went out and got him.
Okay, but we also replaced Iwobi, Mkhitaryan, Kashani, Monreal, Ramsey, and was it Czech, or was Czech the year before?
Check.
So that is 6 people. Who do we replace them with? We replaced Czech with Martinez. That's a downgrade. We replaced Aaron Ramsey with Willock. That's a downgrade. We replaced Monreal with the injured player in Tierney. Tierney is going to be a good player, but he's injured.
Yeah.
Okay.
And definitely Koscielny and Luis.
We replaced Koscielny with Luis. Let's be honest. We'd rather have Koscielny.
I agree with you.
Now he's the last 2, Iwobi and Martinelli for Saka and Nelson. Who would you rather have for the future? Saka and Nelson.
Mkhitaryan.
For the future, Saka and Nelson.
For the future, Saka. But I always knew we were going to suffer as well because those young wingers, would not be able to supply our strikers, and that's kind of what happened this season.
Yeah.
I don't think.
I agree with you. This is why I'm asking. Hopes. This is why I'm asking. All the ingredients are swirling around, and Arteta just needs to bring them together.
I don't think we replaced Aaron Ramsey with Willock. It just we have not. We just have not replaced him. Full stop. I don't think.
Can you? What kind of players are out there, Hopes, that are like Ramsey?
Well, I would say
Grealish,
Fleck. I keep going on about Fleck because I think like his stats are just great. Decore and Fleck, their stats are the same.
Yeah.
And let's not forget, Ramsey did have a couple of seasons under us where he wasn't doing great. He just, it was contract time, and suddenly he starts playing a bit like Ozil. Tierney for Monreal. Okay, I'll give you that. I guess we could have got another right back in, because we knew Bellerin wasn't going to be ready in time. But at the same time, I'm grateful that it's given our youth the opportunity to come out and shine. The likes of Saka, Martinelli. We've got Eddie back and Reece Nelson, and they need some developing as well. There are players there. However, having said that, just look at our current transfer window. We're not the team. Man United. I was thinking about this the other day. Man United go and spend 68 million on Fernandes. In the summer, they spend 85 million on Blockhead.
You can't use Man United. I think you're saying that you can't use them as an example.
Harry Maguire. No, I mean even Chelsea.
Can I show you something though?
Hold on, give me 1 second, right? And then Chelsea go and spend 60 million on Pulisic. All the top teams are buying players in of value. I'm not saying that we have to go and spend hundreds of millions, but I kind of feel a bit envious, that here we are with, a couple of million on Mari and potentially Suarez, and just because we spent 72 million on Pepe, is that it now? And 25 on Tierney. We're Arsenal, and we. There's arguments. Is there money there? Isn't there? The way we spend money, it shows that probably there isn't any money. But Man United for the last 7 years just keep on buying in top players and ruining them, and we're not even getting that chance.
Hey, going back to that, when you're saying clubs are spending money, Barcelona couldn't even spend money to buy a replacement striker for Griezmann. So I mean for Suarez. So when it comes to comparing to other clubs, even at the top clubs in the world are struggling to come up with money. If you know what I mean. So the January transfer window just goes to show you that it's not easy to come up with money. Like Atletico couldn't spend 20 million for Cavani, but coming back to Arsenal now, I feel like we did a good job with Marie because he's rated as the best center back in Brazil right now, and he is Spanish. We didn't have to worry about any documents or anything like that for him to just come and play right away. That was a smooth transition, and we're looking like we're going to get a replacement right back in Cedric Soares coming in maybe tomorrow if it does happen, and that is relief for us.
Igal, I agree with what you're saying. I think Pablo Mari is going to be a good player, but what troubles me is how come, and I'm not complaining, how come the loan fee was so low?
Because the players from Brazil, and Brazil, obviously, the players over there, they cannot ask for too much money. He's valued at 1.2 million. That's what he was valued at before this year. So you can't put a ridiculous fee of like 27 million or something on a player who's 27 or 28. 26. How old is he? 26. Okay, he's 26, and then so it's a loan with an option to buy. So we don't even obligated to buy him. So it's security for the club. One, I'm not going to act like it's my money, but it does help, obviously. Number two, if he doesn't work out, we can just send him back. We don't have to worry. We don't have to buy him, because if we would have said, hey, every player that's linked to Arsenal, let's just buy him, we would be stuck with Denis Suarez. We'd be stuck with Ceballos right now. And not saying Ceballos is a bad player, but I'm not sure if he keeps up the way he's playing right now, the remainder of the season, that we're going to actually take him after the loan.
He's definitely got to be better than Suarez, right?
But this is my point. Sorry to interject. This is my point. Forget what Barcelona are doing, because they've got Messi and so many world-class players. So if they don't spend money,
I don't feel sorry for them, Hopes.
If they don't spend in one transfer window, hey, I couldn't give a damn, But what I'm trying to say is, we could, irrespective of if he's available or not, we could have gone and put big money on Upamecano. We could have gone and paid the buyout clause for Dunk from our Premier League rivals. We could have gone and bought who's he? Munier, right? Rather than a second-rated right back sat on Southampton's bench.
Let me step in.
And it's sorry. Just one more point before you do. Going back to your earlier point about a weaker transfer window, or we haven't replaced players, or what you said there. No, what we did, apart from Aaron Ramsey, we got rid of a lot of dead wood. Yeah. That's what we had to do.
I'll get to that in a minute. But I did a Twitter poll over the last 16, 17 hours. 80% believe we're holding funds till summertime, and 20% believe we're not going to spend at all. Arsenal fans. Tony?
Purse strings are going to be tight if we finish out of Europe.
Yeah. We have to spend. If we're out of Europe, we have to spend to get back in there.
But that's mad, isn't it? Sorry, Tony, because we look how much profit we made on Iwobi, and we're only paying for Pepe like a $5 a week or something like that. So where's all this money going?
Stadium in LA.
Yeah, that's a bigger conversation.
Yeah, no, I'm just saying, when is Arsenal going to actually? When's the board gonna put their money where their mouth is? It's nice to see that in January we've got one in the bag. We're potentially going to get 2 players. I cannot remember the last January window, where we bought 2 players. I just cannot remember.
Abba and Mickey.
So that was what, 3 years ago?
January 2 years ago.
Yeah. Going back to Lewis Dunk and these players, sources in the club have said that they view players like Lewis Dunk as just average center backs, and that they're overpriced due to the fact that they play currently in the Premier League, and the fact that they would have to pay over the odds for Premier League players. The club necessarily doesn't want to actually do that. So if they did have an opportunity to buy a player for say 35 mil, and it was like Abdul Decore was going for 35 mil, they would do it. But the fact that the same player that we're talking about, which is Decore, would be maybe going for upwards of 55 to 60 mil, they view that as not feasible, due to the fact that, hey, they see that player so much, so they see his weaknesses as much as they see his good. So players within the league that are proven, I feel like Arsenal have, like, they stick up their nose to them to a certain extent.
I find that hard to believe, Miguel. I really question that source altogether, because they just, instead we're going to spend 72 million pounds on a player that hasn't even played in the Premier League, and look where that gets us. Every time, not the majority of times we buy a player outside of the Premier League, he needs to come in and he needs to settle.
Yeah, I agree. But Decore himself had to come in and settle to get to where he is, and now he's doing amazing. And if we went in to go buy him, he would cost us an arm and a leg. Where if we went to France and we bought a younger version of Decore, which is like that kid that plays for, I forget his name, midfielder for Tintangen or something in France. If we went and got him, you guys probably know who I'm talking about. But if we went and got him, he's 2 years younger, and he's unproven in the Premier League, but he has the mold to be even better than Decore. So that's how the club would think.
But there's a massive difference, isn't there? Has the potential versus is.
That's why
you're paying the premium because the player has that ability.
I would love that. I would love to do that. But the way that the club thinks, they think about future investment as much as they think of current value. So they don't feel like the club is not in a buy now.
David Luiz, future investment, 8 million. I don't know where you're getting your sources from, bro, but
David Luiz was a panic replacement.
It was a panic buy.
David Luiz was a panic replacement because Kashani, he was to replace Kashani for 2 years. He only has a 2-year contract.
Socrates.
Yeah.
Socrates at the time was idiotic. We had the option to get Sianchu, and the club chose to go away from Sianchu and go for Socrates.
So you're contradicting everything you're saying, my friend.
It's mismanagement.
No, but the thing is, the people at the top were confused at the time. We had one guy in Splen Mislintat telling them about Sianchu, and then we had Edu and these guys saying no. We want a more experienced center back, and what do? They end up getting Socrates.
No, I don't think. I think your sources are confused. With respect.
Hey man, what happened? What happened was Arsene Wenger left the club. Right? He was ousted. Right? He was doing all of this work. Arsene Wenger was doing all of this work.
Yeah.
Then he's gone. They bring all of these suits.
Yeah, Arsene Wenger was there doing all the work. So he bought Aubameyang and he gave Ozil a 350 week.
No, he didn't do that.
He was there when he did that. In the same season, he did that.
No, but that was not his. Who
was it?
Wenger didn't want Ozil.
Who was it?
No. I'm not saying Wenger didn't want Ozil, but I'm saying Wenger was there. But at the time, we've already brought in certain people in the backroom staff. The backroom shakeup already began. So at that time, I would not say Wenger was directly the person who's like giving them the contract to sign. It was obviously they already brought in the contract people. They brought in the guy from Sky. They brought in Vinay. They brought in Raul that January.
But
we were not organized.
If that was the case, then post Arsene Wenger, we're still left with Vinay and Raul. Agree or disagree?
Yeah.
How come no other players got 350k?
That was
or close to it. Or close to it. So, you see. So that was.
And I'm actually thinking.
So who was it? Was it Raul?
100% it was Casitas.
Was it Gazidis.
Gazidis' going away party.
So then you've just negated your previous point. That was Raul. That was Vinay.
Which one?
Yeah, but
Because you just come up with his Gazidis now.
Hopes, none of us can speak with certainty what was going on behind the curtain.
No, but what I'm
There.
trying to say,
We had 2 years,
that
2 years of
Wenger
chaos.
what I'm saying, that Wenger was there at that point. He was the front man. He was leading everything. Still, all right. We got in Raul.
I don't know if he was leading.
Hopes.
He was the front.
Hopes.
He was the face.
He used that DNA to say Shaka. What do you call it? Lucas Perez, Shaka, Mustafi, and all these guys in one window.
In the stat DNA.
So that just goes to show you, it's not Arsene Wenger, because Arsene Wenger said it himself that he wanted Conte. He wanted Conte. The club chose to go for Shaka. The club chose to go for Mustafi. The club chose to go for Lucas Pereira. What's his name? Lucas Perez. I don't honestly believe in any way that a man who's seen Conte tear it up in the league would go and pay for Shaka for the same price that you could have got Conte for. That's not realistic.
I would. Do you know why? Because Suarez, he tore it up in the league, and Wenger offered 40 million plus £1.
So you honestly believe that he didn't want Mahrez, he didn't want any of these other guys, and he just took whatever the club gave him?
We've only got history to go off, right?
And not even that.
Up until a certain point in Wenger's tenure, he made decisions for, as I've just given an example, Luis Suarez was available, and he offered 40 million plus £1. There were other, Ronaldo. We could have had Cristiano Ronaldo, but he let him go. So yeah, okay. There was that phase when Vinay and Raul came in, and Wenger was on. Wenger was dealing with this less. And like Ray says, there is so much we know as people sitting on the outside. But let's not shy away from the fact, towards the end of Wenger's tenure, he was kind of losing the plot a bit, which led to his downfall season after season. It was more his arrogance. It was his arrogance, and he was unable to turn it around.
Wenger was
delusion. It was somewhat of his delusion too, because he always felt like we could win the league the following year.
Yes, and Wenger every manager is going to want another season. Give me another season. I can fix it.
For me, he was done.
I've got this Gazidis guy who's a clown, but I can still fix it on the field.
For me, he was done after Birmingham City.
Anyway, Wenger's gone. There was Bournemouth. Are we gonna have a bit about Bournemouth, or have you got any points about Bournemouth?
Back to, how far can we go, Eagle, in the FA Cup?
I'm done with the FA Cup. I don't know about you guys. I honestly just want to focus on the Europa League and win the Europa League. If we win the FA Cup, fine, that's amazing. But realistically, what do we really want?
I thought you didn't want to talk about the FA Cup.
No, I meant in the sense, like, if we win it, it's good. But if we don't win it, I won't really care.
Yeah.
Do you get what I'm saying? People have devalued the FA Cup to the point where it's like, if Arsenal win it, oh, you win the FA Cup, it's shit anyways. If we lose the FA Cup, people are gonna laugh at us. So it's like, why do I care? I'd rather go win the Europa League or try to get top 4. FA Cup is meaningless.
Yeah. Do you think you're 28 years old, right, Igal?
Yeah.
Do you think it's a generational thing? It's become. You see sort of divide in that way between the fans, whether they value the FA Cup or not.
Someone once told me everything nowadays is instant coffee, instant gratification, instant everything. So when you constantly are looking at your club, and you're like, when they're doing bad, you just become lethargic and you don't care. Certain things like the FA Cup almost feel like a burden, because you want to just get back to being great at everything. So if you win the FA Cup, you kind of feel like it's just the FA Cup. Where if you're winning the league and you're getting a double, you're like, yes, we won the FA Cup and the league. We got the double.
the FA Cup could be a stepping stone. Like, you don't just go and win the league. A lot of these teams, like, go and win the league. They've won an FA Cup or a cup
Honestly,
before.
the FA Cup
We have to
doesn't
sell
mean
our first
anything
3
for
FA
me.
Cups.
The FA Cup doesn't mean as much to me personally
Yeah.
because I don't remember it as this great competition. I've only started watching football dramatically since like mid 2000s.
Yeah,
So it's
yeah.
like I don't remember what it was like in the 90s where people used to go to Villa Park and stuff.
Yeah. So I think maybe it is a generational thing. Tony, you want to jump in?
What do we have to show for our last 3 FA Cups? Nothing.
Trophies.
They kept Wenger in the job.
If you're a Spurs fan, you can't even say that.
If you're a Liverpool fan, you couldn't say that either during that 2010s.
It's not a competition for you, Tony.
Not anymore. It didn't help propel us to anything in the league, or
No, you can only win 4 things every year: an FA Cup, a League Cup, some kind of European competition in the league. Wouldn't you
I
want to
don't
win
know.
one of those 4?
I'd rather be in the Champions League.
Guys, in the early 90s, Ian Wright said Arsenal was a cup team. And he said in the late 2010s, Arsenal became a cup team again. Right now, we're trying to get back to being a league cup, a league title team.
Yeah.
So that's where we're in a phase. We go through these phases as a club.
Miguel, when you're called a cup team, that means you're inconsistent in the league.
100%.
Right. Yeah. So that's it. You can only go for cups. Hopes, do you value the FA Cup?
Absolutely, 110%.
Yeah.
It's the British prime, you know. It's so much history. I remember back to the late 90s when Arsenal played Man United and Ryan Giggs scored that goal against Seaman. That was also near post, you know, and that was David Seaman and stuff. And you know, there'd been so many games. You know, I remember Gazza's goal against us in the 90s as well at Wembley. There's so much history with that. It's not so much what it propels us onto. You know, winning the Premier League doesn't propel us onto winning the Champions League. You know, winning the Carabao Cup doesn't propel us into winning the FA. You know, yeah, but winning anything doesn't propel you onto, you know, going on to something else. For me, it's the bragging rights. You know, we won the local cup. You know, and it's the main cup competition in the UK, and there is so much history there. You know.
Yeah, Big Ted. He said Wenger should have left after 2014. It definitely should have left after 2017.
And I like what Mikel Arteta said in that every game is important.
And he has an affinity to the FA Cup, but let's draw a line pretty quickly here. We want to get to preview the Burnley game.
Hold on, before you do that, are you going to speak about the 22 passes that led to the goal? Are you going to speak about our first half, like, you know, how great we were? You know, you're going to are you going to speak about how we missed David Luiz in defence because we didn't have a ball playing centre back?
Yeah,
we had Mustafi.
Are you going to make me say, let's get to the
you're really going to fight that point, Ego? We had Mustafi. Right, but how many balls did he play that David Luiz would have played?
Mustafi actually had a decent passing range.
I know, but he wasn't as good as David Luiz.
Let's be honest, not a lot of centre backs are as good as David Luiz when it comes to his passing range.
Right, well there you go, and then you negate your earlier point about, you know, just because we spent £8 million on him.
No, but I can give him credit. I can give him credit without negating a point.
Yeah.
Everything doesn't come back to one objective point. Do you get what I'm saying? You can say something where you praise somebody, at the same time feel a certain way about their ability and saying that they're not as good as what we would need.
And you know what, Miguel? You can even
this ain't question time. This ain't question time on BBC One, man. This is Arsenal podcast, right? No, I think there was a lot of points in that Bournemouth game that, you know, I think shouldn't be skipped over.
I like to get to the good stuff, Hopes.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think also, like, in the second half where we just switched off, I saw their goal coming. I actually
Not getting
tweeted.
it, Tony.
I tweeted 70, 80 minutes, and it was just like, right, this game's boring now. Like, what's going on? Like, it's just dead. And then they go and score, and then we're hanging on for our life. But anyway, I just wanted to put that in there. Go on, come to the good stuff, Ray.
Now, listen, I messed up tonight. I totally thought Egal was on the Canadian side, and it's getting late for him. So I really don't want to. You're in the UK, Egal, right?
Yeah.
And it's silly o'clock right now, so I wanted to keep moving here. You want to set up the Burnley game for us, Egal?
Okay. So the Burnley game, we have a really good record against Burnley when it comes to Arsenal versus Burnley in the league.
Yeah.
We actually, just one second, just come back to me because I'm going to try to find some stats.
Yeah. Hopes.
Yeah.
We got to get to the good stuff, Hopes. Come on.
Come on. So,
Messing around.
what's the question?
Burnley.
Burnley. Okay, let's look at Burnley. Okay, Burnley, last 5 home games, they've won 2, they've lost 3. They beat Leicester out of the 2 games that they've won at home. They lost to Villa and Man United. The key players to look out for: Chris Woods, the New Zealander, the Kiwi striker, 10 goals, 1 assist.
Yeah.
Ashley Barnes, 6 goals.
And he always keeps
injured. He's out.
He's out.
Ashley Barnes is out. Rodriguez is going to start next to Woods.
Yeah, right. Okay, but Chris Woods, 10 goals. Rodriguez, 4 goals. They're midfielders, Westwood and Hendrick. They've got a couple of goals between them. Westwood, especially, 5 assists. They're
McNeil.
It reminds me of Sheffield United in so much as they're set piece kings. They're gonna rough us up, and I firmly believe that it would be a great game to try Lacazette in the number 10 role, just behind Aubameyang.
No.
Sorry, I'm running out of breath here. Because I don't think it's a game for Ozil. We're going to have to be on our best game, and I think it's going to be really tight. I think we'll win, but they're gonna expect a fight, and if we don't, then they've already turned over Leicester. Okay, Man, you beat them at home, but they've got those players there can just pull something out of nothing. And here's another stat for you: watch out for the last 15 minutes, because that's when they scored their most goals this season. Again, Sheffield United, and they better not bloody well score and send us home with another draw, because as much as I love draws, I'm fed up of them.
Tony, would you persist with Lacazette away from home?
I would go ahead and play him.
So he's going to find a way into your starting lineup. When we have Aubameyang coming back, Martinelli, Pepe, all of these players that can play there, and Lacazette, who hasn't scored a goal in 8 games now?
Yeah,
no, ahead of Ozil, not ahead of Aubameyang. So play him as a number 10. Did that come through?
Yeah, that did.
Where he was playing against Chelsea most of the match was number 10.
Yeah, because he can be that box-to-box guy, and he's got a lot of energy, and he's got fight, and he'll hold up the ball, which Ozil will not do. Hold up the ball. Ozil will just look for his flicks and little things like that, which, we got a hell of a chance. It would be a good chance, a good opportunity to try Laka there, only because of his physical prowess.
No, but Ozil, to debate that one point, Ozil does relieve stress. He did help us in that when we went down to 10 men against Chelsea to hold on to possession and relieve stress because when he gets the ball into his feet, it sticks. He doesn't lose the ball that easily. Do you get what I'm saying? So it's
I agree to a certain point, Egal, but I don't think he retains the ball as well. He can knit play together, but triangles that kind of go nowhere in the end.
I say it because I say play Laka there because of his physique, that he can hold up the ball. That's it. That's why I think it's
you're going to play him in midfield with Xhaka and Torreira.
And option number two, and which Laka gives us that Ozil doesn't give us, just tell him when you're as soon as you're in the 18-yard area, just shoot. As soon as you're on the D, just shoot, right, and see what happens. And just see what happens, because he's got a lethal foot on him. Ozil doesn't have that power.
Yeah. Well, Ozil's always going to try and feed
Ozil
somebody.
will never take a shot. He's
No.
it's like he gets rewarded for every assist outside of the game.
That's a good point, BK, in the comments. Burnley simply lack technical players. They give you something you don't want. Aerial battle, absolutely. Yeah. Our two centre backs, which are probably going to be Socrates and Mustafi, have to be on point. I would actually want Rob Holding in there.
All right, Hopes, let me ask you this. Where are we going to get our goals from? Do we need to fill it with Martinelli, Aubameyang, Pepe? They're the best threat we have for scoring goals.
Well, if we decide to play them as a front three, absolutely. And Lacazette, if he plays in the number 10. However, we could get Saka in, because Saka's got to play left back, and he could have some opportunities as well. Yeah. So there are goals there from numerous opportunities. It just depends.
They're not coming from midfield, that's for sure.
Okay. I got everything now. So we know who's injured. It's going to be Mustafi, Chambers, Tierney, Nelson, and Kolasinac. So Saka 100% is going to be starting at left back. Yeah. When it comes to Burnley side, they have Ashley Barnes is out, and then everyone else is doubtful for them. We have won 11 of our last games against Burnley, so that's pretty interesting. Yeah. In all competitions, that is. And when it comes to Arsenal, we are projected by the bookies on Bet3 whatever that it's going to be a draw. That's what they have it, like the safe bet that they're saying is going to be the outcome is going to be a 1-1 draw, and they're saying even though Arsenal are unbeaten at Turf Moor ever since they've been promoted, that they feel like things are going to be different today. And that they also understand that Arsenal have not lost a game in 2020. But that's beside the point.
There you go, Tony. Another draw to add to the record. Push for the record.
5 more.
We have 5 more draws, Igal, and hopes we get the record for draws this season.
We don't want that record. We don't want that record. Let's be honest.
No,
we already get slated for going invincible with 12 draws. Yeah. Even though we went invincible, people still find a way to poke fun at it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Coming back to the point where people are just they want more of everything. Like now that Liverpool are unbeaten, people are saying they're bored of Liverpool. I would love to be bored of Arsenal if we were winning every game.
Yeah, I think we would find fun in winning every game except one draw all season long. That's pretty good.
Would you rather, do you guys, if you guys were match-going fans, would you rather 1-0 wins every single game for the rest of the season and just win every single game 1-0, or lose like 5 games, still win the league, but demolish people and like get the points goal difference record?
Probably the latter, where you have those good games for me.
So you'd rather have high-scoring games
with
some losses,
5 and win the league.
Yeah. Or would you rather be like points record, undefeated, invincible, and never lose a game, like what Liverpool is doing right now, pretty much?
Yeah.
It's kind of hard to even debate this because we're so bad right now. Hopes, what do you think? Would you rather 1-0 to Arsenal or like smash teams?
1-0 every game.
City, or smash teams like City?
In our current form, I would take every win. 1-0. I'm a season ticket holder at the Emirates, so to go there and to come away with a win. That's how we did it in the late 80s. 1-0 to the Arsenal, early 90s. Okay. That's what we were known for. At the end of the day, history doesn't remember the scoreline. History remembers who won, and what if that leads to titles and silverware, then yeah, I'm all for it.
Sure.
Egal, Bellerin or Niles for the Burnley game for you?
I feel like Bellerin. I think Maitland-Niles can come off the bench, and it looks like he's going to be groomed to be going back into the midfield, and that's why I feel like we're getting Cedric Suarez.
Hopes. What I want to know is, does Guendouzi start for you guys over to Torreira and double pivot? Problem I have with Guendouzi is his defensive awareness, but he played that role so well against Bournemouth. I feel like he can do that against lower teams, but come up against Manchester City, you're going to get found out every time.
I feel like he succeeds in chaos. That's why that game was so chaotic that he succeeded, including the game where against Chelsea when we went down to 10 men. If you haven't noticed, the 2 games that we went down to 10 men, he looked like the best player on the pitch because he succeeds in chaos.
Being that type of player, everyone wants to hate it.
Yeah.
Right?
When your back is against the wall, you'd rather have him on the pitch than have anyone else on the pitch. But when you need organization, you don't want him on the pitch.
One of his best games of the year was the first game against Burnley.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
True, good point.
Too.
But since then, it's a different style of play now. I don't think we should upset the magnificent duo of Xhaka and Torreira because, going back to Egal's point, he succeeds in chaos, and that was in one sense because we lacked a style of play, a philosophy, a game plan with Unai Emery. But under Arteta, every player in their position knows what is expected of them. So therefore, to me, it's a no-brainer. It has to be Xhaka and Torreira, especially against these guys. Burnley, it's going to be a real battle. We're going there to battle with them, and it could just be a lack of concentration, discipline, like Guendouzi against Bournemouth. Yeah, he had a great game, but he picked up
will make it easy for us.
He picked up a silly yellow card, which he didn't have to get. And that's where he needs to really learn how to manage his game. So yeah, all day for me, Torreira and Xhaka, especially with Xhaka slipping into left back, allowing Saka to go forward. Beautiful, absolutely beautiful to watch.
Hopes, I have a question here yesterday from a guy called Tony Turner. I never heard of him before.
Okay.
Trouble sounds like trouble to me.
No, this is relatively safe. Will we invest more or less money if we miss out on both Champions League and Europa? What makes you guys think we're going to spend big in the summer?
I think it won't matter. Do you know why? Because of what Mikel Arteta's been promised to get him to come into the club. I think we will have one big name signing in the summer, followed by a few 20, 25 million pound players. Arsenal just so frigging tight; they don't like to spend, and that's proving against us when we really need to spend. So that's my opinion on that.
Egal, how do we get to the next level that way?
Scouts do your job. It's not about spending money. Scouts need to do their job. If you scout the correct players with the correct fit, it doesn't matter where they come from. They can come from the Bundesliga. They can come from the Championship. They can come from Timbuktu. It doesn't matter where they come from. It doesn't matter how much they cost. All that matters is when they're wearing the shirt, if they can produce. And if they can produce, it shows. Martinelli came from whatever division. Guendouzi came from whatever division in whatever league. They walked right into our team, and they dramatically made us a little bit better. That goes to show you, if scouts do their job, the player can cost you $5 million or they can cost you $100 million. But at the end of the day, if we get the right scouting done and the right players that fit Arteta's system, that's all that matters. The price doesn't matter. Spending doesn't matter. Because if you look at clubs that have spent millions of pounds that are still in the exact same position as they were 14 years ago, it just goes to show you.
I agree price doesn't matter. I agree scouts do your job. but more than scouts do your job, the board do their job. Because let's not forget, we nearly missed out on Kieran Tierney because of the way our board like to do business. We need we need to come away from the stupid instalments.
No, that was
scheme, actually just go out and spend. Irrespective of the price, but I think there was some question about Murray in terms of that there was talk that we could have lost him because of the way we wanted to pay the other club, Flamingo.
I feel like the whole thing about Tierney was the club basically saying that he's injured, and instead of signing him at the beginning of the summer and paying him for 2 months that he's injured at a higher wage packet that he's currently at, we'll sign him at the end of the window and then pay him at a higher wage for the because we have to, instead of buying him at the beginning of the summer and paying him an extra 2-3 months of pay at a higher wage that we didn't even need to pay him.
Yeah, but that's just madness in itself, isn't it? Because you're robbing Peter to pay Paul on someone like Tierney, yet you're happily paying Ozil £18 million a year and not even playing him under Unai Emery.
That was a mistake that they are trying to fix going forward. Because if you don't remember that there was a letter that went out by the owner and said, anywhere you can cut costs, cut costs. So if that means save us 2 months of wages for a player that we don't have to sign until the end of the window, then sign him on the last day, if that's what it means. And that's what they did. They signed him on the last day, knowing that he has an injury and knowing that they don't have to pay him 2 months of pay that they would have had to pay him if they signed him at the beginning of the summer.
It makes sense, but it's all very risky. It's all very risky business, because if another club comes in last minute and gazumps us, then just for the sake of playing a bit higher for 2 months, you're going to lose out on an entire player. And this is what I mean by our board. Our board have to pull their socks up, because the scouts can do their job. The players are now transforming on the pitch, doing their job. Mikel Arteta is coming in, and now it's board. Pull your socks up and start.
Okay, but they don't get credit for Saliba doing it a year early.
Yeah, I give them ultimate credit for that. Absolutely.
Because if what we're hearing is correct, Barcelona were trying to go for Saliba, but they weren't willing to give the loan back. They wanted him right away.
Okay, so they'll only get credit for Saliba, in my eyes, if Saliba turns out to be a hotshot player. Because at the moment, it's speculation.
If Saliba's like Martinelli, will he be happy?
Sorry?
If Saliba's curve is like Martinelli, will he be happy?
100%.
Saliba is dubbed.
100%, Ray. I think credit where it's due. However, it's still, again, all these silly little things, If they would have done better business, they wouldn't have loaned him back. They wouldn't have loaned Saliba back. They would have paid maybe extra to get him in, because look how many injuries we have to our defence at the moment. And even Unai Emery, even Mikel Arteta is saying, that we're weak at the back. We're weak at the back. We don't have enough players. So that's why we have to go and get a second-rated right back from Southampton now, who's on their bench. So, I just don't want to let the board off, because the board have just screwed us over as fans so much, and they've constantly got away with it. Constantly.
Listen, they will never get our credit until they have turned this ship around. Right now, they're trying to turn around a massive Navy SEAL ship, and they're not going to turn it around that easily. But when coming back to your point about Saliba, they deserve a little credit. I agree, they don't deserve all the credit, but this guy's being dubbed the Kylian Mbappe of defenders in France. They're saying this guy is the next best thing. They're saying he's better than the guy who's at PSG. They're saying he's better than a lot of these up-and-coming defenders, and he's the defender of the future. And if that's the case,
when he plays, the team is so much better. They've got clean sheets when he plays.
I heard it all with Pepe. Sorry. I mean, I'll believe.
No, but it's a completely different position.
Asking to give credit even before we've seen the guy play.
You need to see it.
The only reason we have to turn this battleship around is because the board constantly sat on their hands for decade, right? Since 2008, in my opinion, let Wenger get away with murder. got in Unai Emery, failed us on so many occasions, and you expect me as a fan who pays over £1,000 a year to say, okay, well, you've got Saliba in, fantastic, all's forgotten. Are you mad? Sorry, but are you mad? Like, are you crazy? Like, how can you say that? Do you know what I mean? Do you know what I mean? It's just like madness, and all the other players we missed out, all the so much stuff, that the board have done. The Cronkies, be excited, great, get me £172 million player. So excited. Sorry, I'm on a
too many dinosaurs in the board.
Dinosaurs on the board? What?
Gazidis did untold damage. It's not going to take one window or two windows to fix this.
Yeah, and KSC sat back and let him do that damage. Now, if they were hands-on, owners like the likes of City and Liverpool, or they had someone there, if they're not there themselves to ensure Gazidis wasn't allowed to get away with what he did and so on and so forth, they wouldn't be in this position. So they've dug a hole. Do I feel sorry for them? No, because now they're facing the consequences of their action, and doing nothing is also a choice.
Going back to the root of the question that Tony asked, I feel like if we miss out on Europe, being Europa League and Champions League, that means we can 100% focus on the league, and that might actually maybe benefit us. Yeah, financially, it won't benefit us. But performance on the pitch, it might benefit us, because then we're going to be in a situation like Leicester, where they just focus on the league. They don't have to focus on nothing else.
In theory, but then it puts pressure on them to actually perform, because then there won't be any excuses. Sorry, Ray.
Igal, do you think Oba is going to sign a contract in the summer?
If he was going to sign it, he would have already signed it. So I feel like at this point he's just trying to flirt with Barcelona and Real Madrid. If they don't come in, he's probably not going to go anywhere else. He might stay.
Right.
Because he made a promise to his grandfather before he passed away, that one day he'll play for Real Madrid. So his goal in life is to play for Real Madrid. That was a story that I read.
We're going to wrap this up soon, Igal. I just want to ask you a couple more questions. What would you feel is acceptable for Mikel Arteta to achieve this year with Arsenal?
I expect him to minimum stay in Europe, being Europa League, and a great achievement would be somehow win the Europa League or get us into Champions League. That right now would be an achievement based on what we've had. But realistic expectations: win a cup like a FA Cup, get us into Europa League, get either 6th or 7th place. Those are minimum expectations. If we can higher level of those, would be get 4th.
Yeah, I agree with you. If we get 6th place this season, that's a pretty good achievement. I think we can get to the quarterfinal of the FA Cup and see what happens with the draw after that.
And if we get lucky in the draw in the Europa League, you never know.
That's going to be tougher for me. I don't think we're going to get very far in the Europa League myself.
Honestly, we're better than Ajax right now. Ajax is not that good.
Hopes, what are you maybe expecting for this season?
What I expected, I've already got: a style of play, a philosophy of play. Yeah. With that consistency, everything else will come. So even if we don't get into Europe, if we finished 8th, I don't care, because I can see categorically, game on game, to some extent, to some percentage, we're improving, and that is massive compared to where we've been since 2008. Even though we won 3 FA Cups in that time, so to me, he's already ticked all the boxes. Yeah,
already on the path. Tony, what are you expecting from this season?
Hopefully, we start.
Apart from a Predator reference. Let's get to the good stuff, Tony.
90 minutes.
For his theme tune to be played at the Emirates.
What league position would you be happy with, Tony?
6th.
6th. Okay. Do you think we can get to a quarterfinal or a semifinal in the Tin Cup? So you don't value?
I think we can, but like I said, I just don't value it anymore.
Yeah. All right. Listen, we'll sign off there because I really screwed over Egal tonight. I'm sorry for that, Egal. I apologize.
No, it's cool, man.
I hope you will come on the channel another time.
Hopefully, man.
All right. And now that I know your location, your time zone, it's going to be a lot easier.
Yeah, I still root for Toronto, but I'm not living there.
I'll be real.
Yeah.
Hopes, we got you really good. Tony came on and surprised you.
Yeah, totally. He came out of nowhere like the Predator.
Guys, can I say one thing quickly?
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys heard. Obviously, it's been all over the place. But Kobe Bryant passed away over the weekend, and I just want to say RIP. I know some people might have mixed feelings about him, but like honestly, he's a legend in the sport of basketball, and it really hurt hearing about that.
Let me tell you one thing, Egal. I heard a lot of stories about Kobe, but somebody called him about a charity tournament. He asked the question, "How many players do you have?" The person said, "None right now." And Kobe said, "You got me. Tell everyone else you got me, and they all come." So, R.I.P. to Kobe, his daughter, and all of the people who passed away. Unfortunately, we just got out of a podcast last Sunday when I had heard about that, so I did want to mention it tonight. But thank you for bringing that to the fore. R.I.P. Kobe, and thanks for coming on once again. Hope, thanks for joining us again. And here's the 3 points on Sunday. Let's start winning some effing games and not drawing so many effing games.
What's the prediction before we go?
Predictions, yeah.
2-1, because we can't score any more than 2 goals right now.
Oh, Joe.
We're like that turtle head. As soon as we get 2 goals, it goes back in.
Oh, Joe.
2-0.
We're
Clean sheet. Away from home.
We're impotent after 2 goals.
3-1.
Yeah, 3-1. Tony knows 3-1. If Laka plays behind Oba, 3-1. I don't trust our defense. They'll concede a goal.
2-0 away from home. Clean sheet.
This was a show that was structured somewhat, but it got a little bit out. Went down rabbit holes, but it's all good talk, all respectful, and we all live to see tomorrow.
Absolutely.
Shout out to Glenn Kitely in the comments.
GK, Jambo.
Tony Turner in the comments. Wait, you're here, Tony. Anthony Robertson, Big Ted. Thanks for coming in. Love your avatar, Big Ted, and a few other people. Arsenal fan circles here. Yeah, he's all right. And all right, that's it. We're out of here. Let's get 3 points on Sunday, right? 9 o'clock here over here. Not 9 o'clock your time, Egal.
2 o'clock.
I forget what time it is. 4 o'clock or whatever.
On you, Gooners. Up the Arsenal. Thanks, Tony, for joining us. Great to see you. Thanks, Hopes.